Yes, yes. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? I am the Bald Kid Nostalgic, and this is SlickBlast RapCast. We'll be having a special guest on live in a couple of minutes, so we can set up, and should be a good one. Should be a fun one. Phat Phillie, one of Croatia's finest hip hop DJs, hip hop purveyors, and purists of the culture. He's been involved with the culture 30 plus years. And he's been a great contributor. And Blackout TV, the #1 hip hop show in Croatia, Hip Hop Blackout. So just waiting for him to come on. I'll send him an invite actually. And that's what I'll do. All right. I think this is how we do the invite once again. There he is. Search. Bada bing. Bada boom. Right there. Beautiful. As I'm sending him the invite, he joined. So that was perfect timing.
Yo,
What's going on, my brother? How are you, man?
I'm feeling good, man. How are you, Nostalgic?
I'm
Good
good,
speaking to
my
you, man.
yeah, man. You too, my brother. Nice to finally have you on. Thank you for taking the time to be on. I appreciate it.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yep.
It's 9 p.m. over here. I was just wrapping up the day, gave kids the dinner, you know,
Yeah.
and let's do the rapidy rap.
Let's do the rapidy rap, as they say. And you're in the future, right? You're in the future now. It's 2 o'clock
Yes,
p.m. Yeah. It's 2 o'clock.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really
back
cool.
back to
Uh,
future, man. Yeah, we are 7 hours away. Shouts to my best friend that I grew up with in Zagreb, Croatia. He lives in Chicago. His name is
oh,
Milan.
oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
he's been out there for I believe 15, 20 years already
Oh, wow.
in
Okay.
in Shy, but we grew up together in here in Zagreb, and his father is a great 70s Hammond player. He played a few top bands here in Yugoslavia, and he was recently sampled by Kendrick Lamar on Damn album. Ninth Wonder sampled him on Duckworth record for Kendrick. Yeah, that and
Ah.
his name is Tihomir Popasanovic. He's a 70s Hammond player, and the group at the time was called September. So yeah,
Oh,
just a
wow.
little just a little fan fact
You
from the
see?
gate.
This is what Phat Phillie does. He just drops gems and hip hop facts, and that's why I'm very excited to have you on, my brother. Because
Yes,
and again, I have to. Everybody says it nowadays. You got to give everybody their flowers while they're physically here. So I want to give you your flowers because everything that you've done for hip hop, it hasn't gone unnoticed, and we appreciate what you do. So give you a virtual clap for that.
salute. Thank you for that, man. I
Yeah.
still got still got a way to go. Still a
Uh,
couple.
yeah.
So, but it's been
Abs-
fun. It's been a fun ride, especially because I don't originally come from the mecca of rap. I don't. We had to import it. And make it ours. We had to borrow it and become guests first, and then now we're not the guests anymore. Now we're part of the culture.
that's
So
right.
it's
That's a
it's
beautiful.
it's a it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing for sure.
Great minds think alike. It's a beautiful thing, and like you said, it was a little difficult back then. Cassettes, vinyl, and word of mouth, right? And just knowing, having the knowledge, naturally to know. So yeah, that's beautiful. Real quick, man, I wanted to ask you this. Can you say Slick Blast Rapcast, Nostalgic and Phat Phillie in Croatian?
Slick Blast RapCast. I mean, dude, it's the same. It would be the same, bro.
Okay,
You
well,
know,
okay, I got it. Okay,
no, no,
Nostalgic.
no, 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 nostalgic is a person that is nostalgichan. Would be nostalgichan. That
Okay,
would be in Croatian. Nostalgic
nice.
would be nostalgichan. And RapCast is RapCast, man.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I just thought I'd try it out. That's cool. Um, well, cool, man. I saw that you posted the dilated peoples because I know a lot of, see, this is another gem that you can drop because a lot of people don't know this. Um,
hmm
Yeah, so I wanted to see if you can share this wonderful story with everybody, everybody that's on SlickBlast right now. You were a huge part of that Dilated Peoples project, and it's kind of cool how they, if you could explain the story and break it down.
Well, it was their first album, The Platform, classic on ABB Records, and my man Benny B signed them to Capitol at the time, so they had an opportunity to drop that dope
Right.
debut on a major label with ABB's backing. So I've started my radio show in '93. So by '97, I was already making connects in the rap game in the US, hollering at a few folks to get, like yourself, you want to come on my show, let's do a phoner. So I've done a phone interview live on the air with the Farai Heru from the
Yeah,
Liquid Crew,
that's
who
right.
who who at the time had a dope independent 12-inch Bionic and change and switch on the flip and
Ooh.
on ABB Records, and both records were produced by Evidence from Dilated. So after I was done with Heru, maybe like a week after, he hit me and she said, "Yo, Ev wants to do a phoner too. Let's, they're ready to, they're ready to drop a 12 on ABB," and that was '97. So the 3 years before their debut dropped. So we get on the air, we do 20 minutes, whatever, and I used to send everybody a tape of the show. You know, Shouts to everybody that's on the line, and even Tihomir Popasanovic that I just spoke, my neighbor, he
Okay.
joined, the OG
Oh,
musician. So
very cool.
shouts to Pop, shouts to Katz, J. Cole, my man Gatson. I've seen Sonny on here, Johnny the Mister. All my peoples are slowly but surely locking in, which is great. So
Beautiful.
I've done it. My show was called, and it's still called Blackout. So we've done and it was on Radio 101, which is a big station here in the '90s and '80s and the '90s. So I sent Ev a tape, and we kept in touch. I go to my first big music conference in the U.S. in March of 2000. It was called Gavin, and it was in San Francisco. And ABB had a showcase there, and they had Dilated, Planet Asia, all the Bay
Yeah.
Area folks perform, and that's where I met Ev. And then because in the hotel suite they had sort of like a ABB Dilated People's little private get together.
Right.
It was a hotel suite in the middle of the music conference, so a lot of parties were going on in the rooms and suites. So I met Ev, and then he was like, "Yo, Phil, hit me up when you get to LA," because after Frisco, I went to LA and spent a month in LA
Oh,
in
nice.
2000, just meeting people, going to different shows, and then so I
Networking.
met
Yeah,
yeah,
networking.
networking. Still a young guy with the dope radio show and trying to make, like you said, connections, and obviously I wanted to get connections to get vinyl because it was hard to get the promos sent to me, so I had to make some moves within the record industry to get on those mailing lists, and that was flowing from like '97, '98, '99, 2000. I was getting pretty much everything sent to me to play because I was one of the only guys that played it and represented in this part of the world. So I linked up with Ev, and we went to his studio in Venice,
Wow.
and then he said, "Yo, man, you made the album." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yo, let me play it for you." So Eardrums Pop, the record, dope joint on the album, and then my drop starts. And it's a 20-second drop. I introduced Ev in Croatian, and then we exchanged a few words in English, and that was it. So that was a great moment in hip hop for me, man. I'm a huge fan of Dilated. We remained close over the years. I had a chance to bring them to Croatia once, and then I've done an Ev show as well in Croatia,
Wow. Wow.
and we kept in touch, and I'm proud of that little, stone in my hip hop pyramid.
That's
If you
right. Yeah.
if you want to call it like that, my man.
Absolutely. That I like that. It sounds better than resume, I think. Pyramid. We'll go with pyramid. I like that. I like that.
Whirlwind pyramid. Peace to the DOC.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. That's a dope story, by the way. So thank you for sharing that. And for everybody that's on, all the Fat Phillies peeps, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. SlickBlast RapCast. And another thing that, for the newer generation, right? Because a lot of us, I'm not going to say older heads, a lot of us experienced heads in hip hop that have grew up, in the 90s or, the late 80s listening to the beautiful culture that is hip hop. Phat Phillie also has produced for some known MCs and some legendary MCs. So, can you throw some of your production catalog out there for the people that don't know that Phat Phillie produced as well?
Well, let me correct you on that, bro. I was managing producers, so
Mm.
it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Okay.
It wasn't me, but it was my guys, my guys from my hometown that I found myself. They gave me a tape. Especially a guy named Kool-Aid, who's still active and still a great producer, and you can check him out online as well. But he gave me a tape in '97 at one of my parties with the DMC champ from the UK, Master Swift, was one of my first international bookings in '97, and Kool-Aid gave me a tape, and I listened to the tape, and that same year I came to New York, and I went to D&D to meet up with the Beat Miners, Evil D and Mr. Walt,
Oh yeah.
and and they were one of the first guys that I played the tape for, and they were really digging the tape. So I left the tape with Evil D, and I recently I seen him maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I seen him at the hip hop camp in Czech Republic, and I was like, "Yo, Evil D, where's my killer tape? I need my killer tape back." He's like, he's like, "What are you talking about, man?" I was
He
like,
ain't
"Dude." Yeah, it was 20 years after,
yeah.
so he's like, what are you talking about, man? I was like, yo, when I was out, I was at D&D in '97. I met with you and your brother, and I gave you my tape. And he's like, man, all my tapes that I ever received are still in Brooklyn at my, where he lives. So
Yeah.
you're more than welcome. See, he's like, but that's thousands of tapes, so you're more than welcome to come and try and find your tape from '97. So that's it. I'm on a mission.
That's right.
And so Cooley gave me the tape, and I was like, yo, wow, this is crazy. He really, really sounds dope and current and fresh. And I started going around New York, shopping beats. Back in the day, we used to do that. I would go to Shady Records to see Dart Law. I would go to Big Beat to see Rob Reef Tulo, Brother Reef.
Oh yeah.
I would go to Raucous to see Mike Heron and Cypher Sounds, Stimulated Records, Noah Callahan and DJ M's. So I would go around the industry making my runs and just playing, making sure that they listen to the beats and let me know, the feedback. So by the time 2000 hit, we were already produced something in France, in Lyon, for a group called IPM. And then we got a word to come and produce this cat in Germany, English speaking cat called Casey the Rookie,
Okay.
from from the UK, but lived in Hamburg, Germany, and he was signed to Warner. So we would, they would fly us out, give us a little budget, so we worked on his album. And then when that album dropped, everybody in Germany wanted to work with us, so we worked with a lot of major acts in Germany from 2000 to 2005, like Semi Deluxe and Afrob, and Semi had a record with DMX. We produced that one. Massive Tone had a record with Fat Man Scoop. We produced that one
Nice.
for the German acts. But then Das Effects would come here in 2000, in '98, but then again in 2001, and then I brought him into the studio, and then we've done a few records for Das that ended up on their last album, which was not on Elektra. It was a album called How We Do that
Yes.
they put out independently, like 2002, 2003, maybe 3, 4.
Yeah, around
So
there.
yeah, so Kool-Aid has done two records, Let's Get Money and another one, Bullshit and Party, I think, something like that.
Okay.
BSAP.
BSAP.
Uh,
Very
yeah,
dope.
that those are the two records that he's done. And then another time, 2001, I'm in New York again. You know, I went to New York in 91 to study my language. Then
Okay.
I went back home. And then from 97, I started going back to New York. 97 every year to, like I said, to go to the labels and meet the people. And so in 2001, I'm back at D&D with Master Ace,
Ooh.
and we are playing beats for Ace, and he picked a record that ended up on Disposable Arts, his album.
Yes. Classic album.
The his record is called Something's Wrong, featuring Young Z and Strick. And the word, a little known fact, is that Eminem was supposed to be featured on that record,
Really.
but due to politics and just M being M
Yeah.
at the time, and he got the beat, and he really wanted to get on because Ace is one of his favorite artists, and Tony, shouts to my people in Switzerland.
Tony. All right. Shout out to Tony Kukoc. Oh, okay.
Tony,
I, I'm like, that's what it says, Tony Kukoc, and I'm thinking Chicago Bulls player right away. I'm
yeah,
thinking,
yeah, yeah. It's just fan love, and
I like that.
yeah, but Tony Kukoc is Croatian as well,
Yes, he
so
is. Yes, he is.
just just to make it straight, and then we ended up on Ace's album, and then we gave Ace a beat, and then in return he did a record for us, and that was beautiful.
Yes.
That ended up on Long Hot Summer. We kind of gave Ace the record that he was supposed to give us. I mean, that Kool-Aid produced, but he loved the record so much that he asked me to use it on his next album, Long Hot Summer. And then we used a slightly different version on a 12-inch with ABB Records, the same company that has put out Dilated Peoples and The Far Right, to name a few.
Yes.
So that's the beginning, and then I met a gentleman by the name of Daniel Glogauer in New York in 2003. He was at the time managing a producer named Fury, who did some Lil Flip records and Lil Kim records, all the Lil ones, and he had 88 Keys, Kanye's buddy,
Yes.
who's done a lot of stuff for Kanye, and most recently he's done a record with Mac Miller.
Dope producer.
So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so Dan started managing my guys, Kool-Aid, Baby Dukes, and Dash, three producers from Zagreb, in for the States, and then we end up producing for Ghostface, for Consequence, when he dropped the Don't Quit Your Day Job on Good Music.
Yes.
We done a good for Ghostface on More Fish. We've done records for a group on Capitol called Zornak. At the time, we've done a record for Miri Ben-Ari with Styles P.
Oh, the
Remember my
violinist. The violinist, right?
yes,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I do.
we've done her first single, "We Gon' Win" with Styles P,
Oh,
and then
wow.
we did a record with Lil Mo on that album as well. And then Kool-Aid produced for Bow Wow and Omarion, "Hey Baby," which was their first single off their joint album. So it's quite a few big records, and major checks, major company checks.
Yes. That was, I know that was a great part, right? That was that was nice. That's a nice part to hear right there.
No doubt, no
Absolutely.
doubt. You got, because we made this, and then in 2006 is, everything was running pretty fast for us. In 2006, me and Kool-Aid, we moved out to New York as one of our boys from Croatia started playing for the Nets, for Jersey Nets.
Oh,
Zoran.
what's his name? What's the player's name?
He lives in Chicago now. His name is Zoran Planinic. Z. They
Okay.
called him Z. So
Okay.
Zoran Planinic was with the Nets, I would say from like 2005 to like 2008 or 9, maybe like 4 or 5 years he was with the Nets. And we So we knew each other from my club here in Zagreb. And then he said, "Yo, you got rooms over here, man." So we came and we stayed with him for like 4, 5, 6 months.
Wow. What a good
Going
friend.
to
That's a
What
good
a great
friend.
friend.
Yeah.
And it was in Weehawken, Jersey, and our studio was in Jersey City. So we were Jersey based, and then we would go to New York, obviously, to take care of the business and party. Toca Tuesdays.
Right.
At that time, it wasn't Toca Tuesday. Toca Tuesdays launched in 2009 or 2008, actually.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was a club called APT where Babito had his residency, and then around the corner was another club in New York called Lotus, where we used to go on Wednesday nights. There was I think it was Joe's Pub, like a really, really some cool spots in the early 2000s, and that was fun times because we would get the three tickets for every NBA game
Oh,
that
wow.
Nets would play. And I remember seeing Jay-Z sitting in the first row because at that time Jay was on board with the Nets, and we had the 12th row seats. And I remember taking Scoob from Das FX to one of the games as well.
That's pretty dope, man. I could picture one of the guys watching an NBA game with one of the guys from Daz Effects. How dope is that? That's cool.
Yeah, man. And in 2000, let me just go back. So after I was in LA with Ev, listening to their first album. In LA that year, I went to see a show with that was 2000. So I went to see a show with Slum Village with
Ooh.
Dilla on the MPC,
Mm.
uh, Black Sheep, Das Effects, and Black Eyed Peas, the early Black Eyed Peas. So
Wow.
after the show, and it was the Key Club on Sunset, and after the show, since I was already close with Das Effects at the time, because I brought him in '98 to do Croatia and Slovenia. I've done two shows in '98, so they invited me on the bus, and that's where I met Dilla for the first time as
Oh
well,
my God.
including Mr. Long and Andres and the homies from other homies from Slumville. But so I'm jumping back and forth. So meeting Dilla in 2000, and then we ended up producing the same album in 2004 for the German artist called Afro and Semi Deluxe.
Okay.
So the other producer that I managed at the time called Baby Dukes was doing a beat on this album, and then we flew into Berlin to do a session with Afro and Semi Deluxe, and we are going to the studio not knowing who we're going to see at the studio, and we come to the studio and there is fucking Dilla banging the MP in Berlin, Germany, and smoking a spliff, and I'm like, wow, JD. So I've seen Dilla twice. Hmm.
Wow. You saw the
and we
reaction? You saw the reaction when you were talking, you mentioned Dilla. I just put my head down like,
Yeah, man.
imagine how you felt. Imagine how you felt.
Well, it's at that time, he was a great producer, and obviously people were really digging the creative styles of Dilla. But unfortunately, his real flowers he received after his untimely passing. So
I agree with that.
he really got his cult following after he passed away. And that narrative we're trying to change nowadays, because there's too many brothers that are dying, not really knowing that we appreciate and love their music and the legacies they left for us. And we do, but we just don't show it enough. So
I
thank you
agree with.
for allowing me to come on your podcast, bro.
No, hey man, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you being on because, like I said, you're an important staple to hip hop. Not only in Croatia but here in the States. The fact that you had a balancing act, and like you mentioned, and I like the fact that you're bouncing from storyline to storyline and timelines. I love it. Like you from 2000, it's cool because it's almost like you're taking us back to memory lane, and I love it, man. It's great. So Dilla, okay, so quick Dilla question before you move on. How was he? Was he more of a laid back guy? Because he seemed like a calm, mellow guy, right? But how was he? What was the first impression of you and Dilla? Like, was he more chill? Was he to himself, or was he,
So super chill, super to himself. Like I vaguely remember our hangouts in LA in 2000. What I remember at the club is that this was one of the first times that I've seen sort of like a DJ for the group not rocking the turntables by having two MPCs on stage. So he was programming all the beats for Slumville for their because that year they dropped their Fantastic Volume 2 on Good Vibe with
yes,
Players and Fall in Love and all those
mm-hmm.
great I don't know all those
All the
great
hits.
classic all the hits, Get This Money, which is one of my favorites along with Players. So I just remembered that, and I remember meeting him on the bus. But then at the studio, we really left. We were just spectating. We were in the other room, but we would come and just stare at Dilla do his magic on the MP and just continuously lacing the blunts with hash. And that was a magic moment, and to come to from 2003 or 4 when we last saw him, and then I'm gonna jump to 2021.
Oh wow.
And me and in regards to Dilla,
Yes.
Recently I had an opportunity to go on a Zoom call with my Dukes.
Mm.
Directly through a buddy of mine from Serbia, from a small town called Valjevo in Serbia. His name is Vlada, and he's been with the Dilla Foundation, James Do It Yancey Foundation, for almost like 8-9 years now. And he wanted us to jump on a call with my Dukes and Tony, her husband. They live in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I do.
And then we, together with them, and another DJ from Macedonia, DJ Gote, a dope DJ and producer from there, we formed a regional Dilla, a nonprofit Dilla foundation called Balkans Love Dilla. Balkan Loves Dilla.
Balkan loves Dilla.
Yeah, because Balkan is the peninsula that all these countries that I've mentioned, from Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria, Macedonia, we are all in a peninsula that is called Balkan in southeast of Europe.
Okay.
And so we formed a nonprofit called Balkan Loves Dilla that is under his mom's foundation in the US. So, we are going to do an album influenced by Dilla. We're going to do some merch. As soon as the COVID is done, we're going to bring my Dukes and do Q&As with her in different parts of the Balkans. And so I'm very proud and happy and honored to be representing Dilla's name and legacy, but with blessing from his mom's.
That's a beautiful thing, man, and congratulations to be a part of that, because that's historical, and like you said, you got the blessing from the OG herself. So you're in, brother. You're in. So
hey, man, get in where you fit in.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, great Dilla stories, and we all appreciate it. I know I do, because Dilla, like you mentioned, we're trying to like Phat Phillie mentioned earlier. We're trying to change the narrative, as he said earlier. Physically giving people their flowers while they're currently here, breathing, and still here, not after the fact.
And money too, and opportunities. I've done a lot. I'm not just a fan, and I'm not just somebody that has stories because I was in these rooms and I traveled. Dude, I brought over 150 artists, American artists, to Croatia and the region. I've done everything from OC and Big L to shouts to DJ Newmark from J5, and he was one of the artists that I brought recently, maybe a couple of years ago. But I've done, everything from Premier, Dilla, Dilated, Das Effects, J. Rue the Damager, Royce the 5'9", Alcoholics, Raekwon, the whole Wu-Tang
Ooh.
afterwards. So, you know, even up to Chris Brown and French Montana and Migos and Ricky Rose. And so I've done a lot of business for the for the US rappers, and he has to be a business motivated, he has to it became in the beginnings it was a business motivated relationship, but then when respects hit, and when you click on a personal level, then it becomes friendship. So I have to say I have a lot of cool friends in the rap game that are considered legends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And you answered my question before I was going to ask you, so thank you. I was going to go into the managing aspect of it. Like you just mentioned all the legends, and there's a lot of them in that list that you mentioned. Um, I really wanted to know if you can we revisit the OC Big L story, because I was intrigued by that. I was Big L fan, as many people were, right? Growing up in Chicago, I first heard, his track in '95, Put It On, and MVP. And from there, I was like, I was hooked, So can you please elaborate on your experience with Big L and OC? That'll be cool.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
Shouts to my boy DJ Shortcut in T dot Canada, locked in. Yeah, so that was '97 here in Croatia, and OC was doing he was promoting Joel's album on Payday Records.
Yes.
And I got a word from an agency in London that OC's on tour, and we loved the album, and we played it so much on our radio show, Blackout here, that it was a no-brainer for us to try and celebrate our radio show's 4th anniversary in November of '97. It was our 4th anniversary, and I was like, what better way to celebrate our 4th anniversary with OC gig at Club Aquarius, which we started a year before, some sort of a residency, and there was a show with Africa Bambaataa and the Time Zone in '96,
Wow.
where I played as a support DJ. I was still playing under my real name, Philip. I wasn't Phat Phillie at the time.
Okay.
Around '96, my guy Baby Dukes he was like, nah, you're not gonna be DJ Philip, you're gonna be Phat motherfucking Phillie. So
Nice.
thank you, Baby Dukes.
Shout out to
And
Baby
it's
Dukes for giving him the name. That's a dope name. So shout out to him.
No doubt. And Dukes is the producer that I mentioned, who was on the same album as Jay Dilla for ISD, which is Afro and Semi Deluxe. Shouts to my boy Irie Scratch in Macedonia too, locked in. My boy Sure Shots crew, Shorty P. And so we booked OC. Big L is unannounced. I get the fax. It was we were getting his fax.
Right.
There was
Old school.
no emails, fax machines. So I get the
Paper.
fax with paper. I get the fax machine with travelers, for me to book the flights from Zurich to Croatia, and to book the hotels. So I'm reading through the names, and since I was always a hip hop geek and fanatic, I was like, Lamont Coleman. It sounds very, very familiar. And then I figured out it was Big L, so I reached out to Serena. I was like, yo, Big L is coming as well. She's like, yeah, we just got the word. He's going to be a support MC for OC. And on the decks, on the turntables, was DJ OG as well, the DITC producer.
Nice.
And a good brother too. So they arrived. They stayed here they had an off days. So I was a rookie promoter. So when Serena asked me to cover the off days, the hotels, I was like, sure, I'm happy to have the guys in town for a couple of days, show them around. And in from '91 to '96, Croatia had a huge civil war going on here, like a huge war in the
Yeah.
Balkans that was spreading through Croatia and Bosnia at the time. So, and that ended up in 96. And then 97, OC came. So it was really right after the war. So when I spoke to OC, um, when I've done an interview with him maybe a couple of years ago, and I asked him, "What do you remember?" He's like, a whole lot of grenades and guns at the airport,
Wow. Wow.
you know. And so yeah, man. We stayed. The boys are here. We do my radio show. We do the club. Day after the clubs, we go to a record store. We do a TV interview there for Croatian TV. We shot a lot of pictures together. So, down the line, I end up with a lot of Big L content, because we lost our brother in '99. And then I end up having a lot of these video and photos that are available on YouTube. A lot of things are still just in my archive, and I'm very proud of that. Al and I, we stayed in touch throughout his short period where he was still with us,
Yeah.
and I remember speaking to him just 2 weeks before he passed away
Wow.
in '99. So in 2000, his album was dropped. It was released on Rockers, called The Big Picture, and I was one of the people that has received the gold plaque from Rockers,
Wow.
presented to me, sort of to thank me for for being supportive of Big L and his career. Rest in
That's
peace, Big L.
yes. Rest in peace to Big O indeed. He was a legend, and you know, what more can we say? He was phenomenal. Um, Such a great story, man. And the fact, like I said, you were definitely blessed to be around at that time, because the golden era was obviously amazing, right? The golden era was special. It was ahead of its time. And for you to be a part of that, a rich history and culture, and for you to contribute as well, that's a beautiful thing. So it's great. So props to you for putting in the work, the hard work, and putting yourself out there to be a part of a important hip hop staple from Croatia. So that's great, man. So beautiful
Thank you,
thing.
brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Lucky to be born, I guess, in '75. So, I was able to touch the early days, and in '84, I found this rap radio show on the local station called Radio 101. I was going through the channels, through the FM frequency, and I found this rap show called Electro Funk Premiere, and the guy was playing rap every Monday night.
Wow.
So that was my first introduction to rap in September of '84.
84.
Mama, toma mora tamo, ne može pričat. I'm sorry, bro.
No, you're good.
Toma, nazad. The kids, it's sleep time.
I understand. I understand.
It's 9:30. Tommy, please, ne
Yeah.
možeš pričati, tata je na intervju. And so I was lucky to witness the golden era and the early era of rap, from UTFO to just on the radio at that time. Don't get me wrong, bro.
Yeah.
My first show was the first big rap shows that I've seen was 1994, which was Public Enemy and Ice-T when they came over here to
Ooh.
perform in the middle of the war. They came and performed.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing.
but then throughout the '80s, I was just a hardcore listener of that radio station, and he was the only source of information because there were no record stores available here. We couldn't buy vinyl, especially US vinyl. A lot of the classes that came out, a few of the vinyl were pressed here locally, such as two Fat Boys albums, one Houdini album, LL's Bigger and Deffer, and Beastie Boys, License to Ill, and Paul's
Oh,
Boutique. So that's pretty much every. And Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. I'm the DJ. I'm the rapper. He's the DJ. So
right.
those classics were pressed up on our local vinyl here. So that was the only thing that we could get at the time. And my father was a musician. He was traveling the world. You know, he's a classical musician, and he was getting me a lot of product from his tours. You know, I remember him in '87 from Rotterdam. He brought me Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five on the Strength, which is, you know, their reunion album from '87. Pops bought me License to Ill in '86 for my 12th birthday. You know,
Wow.
I still got the vinyl with his, you know, with his, you know, writing on it, and then in '91 I came to New York to study my language. My mom sent me to the States to perfect my English, and she, you know, we've done a great thing, and you know, it helped me a lot. Fluent English, you know, speaking English fluently helped me a
Yes.
lot in my rap business, because, you know, people, you know, they can, I wouldn't say they treat you differently, but they understand you better, at least that.
Right. That makes sense. And I want to say a shout out to your pops. What is the gentleman's name? Because I would like to listen to some of his stuff on YouTube if there's anything available.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
my pop's name is Mario, and our last name is Iveya, but his orchestra, his chamber orchestra was called, and is still called, the Zagreb Soloists, and they were frequently touring the US in the '80s. So Pops would bring me tapes from Chuck Chillout and Mr. Magic,
Oh,
because
wow.
Pops used to love recording New York radio at night. When he would get back to his hotel room, he bought a little Sony Walkman in '84, and then he would tape New York radio, and there was, you know, a lot of it was the rap shows, you know, Rap Attack and Chuck Chillout show. I don't remember Red Alerts. I think he missed Red Alert, but I vividly remember Chuck Chillout and Mr. Magic.
Very cool, man. So it's in the blood, obviously. You know, music is in the blood, in your family. That's great, man. It's a beautiful thing. Fun fact: Fat Phillie's pops, he was a musician. So that's another gem that you're dropping on us. You know, that's real cool. Um,
Yeah.
Once again, man, if you have a couple of extra minutes, that'll be cool. I know it's, you know, the
No,
kids
no,
are
no,
gonna.
no.
All
No,
good?
we're good, man. We're
Okay,
good. We're
cool,
good.
cool. Just wanted to be respectful of your time. Um,
No, no.
so I wanted to ask you, who is Fat Philly listening to currently? Let's say you're going on a grocery run. Let's say you're going, you know, taking a walk around the park, or you're with your family, and let's say you're, you know, you want to throw on your headphones. Who are you listening to currently? Or even if it's not no anybody current, like, you know, the old school guys, who are you still listening to that you can say, I don't get tired of this song, I don't get tired of this group, you know, because you know how it is. You always want to go back to the '90s, but who have you been listening to lately? You know.
Man, I'll tell you about today. Um, I I woke up with Showbiz and AG for
Oh,
for
for
breakfast.
breakfast.
Uh, because last night I posted about the Full Scale album and
Yes.
EP, because, you know, I what I love to do on, and it really gives me a lot of pleasure to post something special on the anniversary of the classic albums, you know, or singles, you know, and not posting a CD cover, or, you know, or online. It has to be something special for my collection, whether it's a press clip, or a pic that I have with them, or whether it's a sticker or a poster, or promo item, or, you know, test pressings of the record, something that's not was not commercially available. So
Right.
I post a lot lately, especially in the Corona times, and especially after Destroy Show Off Your Gems show, where I was forced to dig out all my gems, and so they're handy now in the boxes, and I'm prepping a hip hop museum for 2023. So I'm
Ooh,
yeah, here in Zagreb, yes, for sure.
wow.
Uh, so I woke up with full scale LP, and then I was cooking lunch for kids and wifey because they were coming back from school around 12:30. But then Tidal would take me, after the full scale LP went into, big ponds
Ooh,
and more DITC and more. That was today, and then I ended up and I went to the office, and then I blasted Fat Joe's Don Cartagena album today, and I blasted the first Terror Squad album, the
classic.
first the first one. That's what I've been checking today. But a couple of days ago, man, on Monday, today's what? Today's Wednesday, right? On
Yes.
Monday, I've done my radio show, which I do now occasionally every couple of weeks. I've done Houdini, Fat Boys, and Captain Rock special.
Oh,
Because Captain Rock passed away last week. Ecstasy passed away, and Prince Marky D. So I've done a show dedicated to Houdini, Fat Boys, and Captain Rock, and I had an opportunity to have live on the air Jaquan, the hip hop historian from VA.
yes.
Also Charlie Stetler, who was Fat Boy's original manager from the 80s,
Interesting.
and
Wow.
the guy who got him, who named him Fat Boy and who got him all the first deals, brought him to Europe in '84, and got him to do the Disorderlies movie in '87. He produced the
Classic movie,
movie.
by the way. I love. So I
I
just
love it.
ordered. Yeah, I just ordered the DVD on Amazon. Uh, it's like 10, what, $12? You can't
It's
go
worth
wrong with
it.
it. It's worth it.
Nah,
Yeah, it's a classic.
you gotta
So,
you gotta have it, man. The Fat Boys. Shouts to Cool Rock Ski, who I spoke to also the other day. And the last interview that I've done on my show on Monday was Prime Minister Pete Nice from
third
Third
base.
Base
Oh
and
yeah.
Universal Hip Hop Museum. So I wanted to get some people on the show in relations to, to the fallen soldiers that we lost recently. So I've been blasting a lot of the 80s stuff, a lot of Fat Boys, a lot of Captain Rock recently, a lot of Houdini. I'm mostly in my 80s and 90s pocket, bro, like most of the time. And I'm blasting a lot of the 70s funk. I'm still, trying to find out all the samples that are, the rap classics contain.
Right.
So I mean, I just want to find out where, Primo got his inspiration, and Dilla and Pete Rock and RZA and Dre and Marley Marl, everybody that we enjoy listening, and all our heroes.
Yes. That's an interesting point because I've been doing that too lately on my own. Like, whether you're in the shower, or, like you said, you're doing running errands for the family. You want to know where the samples came from because these DJs are so clever. They chop like the RZA. You won't know he chops up something so secretly. You have to like literally dig, dig, dig. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to dig deep. So it's interesting that you mentioned that because it's intriguing, man, how they sample these, how they cut off the beats, and it's amazing what they do. So, yeah, but man, you can't go wrong with the 80s and 90s. I mean, like you said, that's your pocket. I mean, that's a great pocket to have. I mean,
Don't get me wrong. I have my Anderson .Paak times. I have my Griselda days. I have my obviously Smith. Everything on Duck Down that is released nowadays. All the classics. All the classic artists that are still dropping music like Smith and Wesson. I love all my peers that are still. I'm supporting all the new music from Billy Dance to OC
oh yeah,
to Pharoah Munch recently. And I have a blog in Croatia called blackouthiphop.com, which has been recently voted the top 100 rap blog, amongst the 100 rap blogs in the world. Thank you, bro. And we post daily. We support boom bap, classic, Croatian, regional hip hop daily. Shouts to my music editors, Retro Flavor. Shouts to my boy Rodriguez in Sofia, Bulgaria. My guy Soma Vukova, who does Dig of the Day, and we So we support a lot of the good independent underground uh hip hop, from like really, really we go deep to
Yeah.
Aguilar, Adolf the Assassin, to um a bunch of new independent artists like Rusty Jugs, and
Right.
a lot of good music, man, that's been put out there, whether they have a hype or buzz or not. For me, that doesn't matter. We want to support the original sound of hip hop, which is here to stay.
Yes. And I wanted to thank you, by the way, Fat Philly. I want to thank you for you mentioned Blackout Hip Hop. And for everybody, that's new to hip hop culture, for people that haven't got a chance, check out Blackout Hip Hop. Fat Philly and his crew are doing wonderful things. And I want to thank you for supporting my music as well. I do
No
appreciate
doubt.
that. I greatly appreciate that. It's nice when people appreciate, like you said, a lot of unknown cats, like myself. I'm doing it for the culture, and that's it. I love the culture and I want to contribute, like we talked about. So I thank you for allowing, for you sharing my track out there. It's great,
Oh,
man. So
all right, my pleasure, man. You're more than welcome, and you are entitled to represent the culture the way you want to represent it. It's your way of expressing yourself. And we posted one of your tracks, and then I think I also posted the Elder Sensei
the beer
beer
channel.
drinking the beer
Yeah.
drinking competition. Elder Sense is another guy who's a great friend of mine. We're really, really close.
Yes.
I booked him for Austria back in 2001. Kool-Aid produced for his on his solo album, Relax, Relate, Release. We've
Yes.
done So Think Again and On, featuring Sadat X back in 2002, 3 on
Okay.
Seven Heads. And then we've L was on the flip side of Beautiful, of Kool-Aid's Beautiful, with the track called Follow on ABB Records. And then we've done another track for Sadat and Elder Sensei album, featuring AG, called
Wow.
Sign In. So, and L was my guest here. He rapped on some Croatian projects, and I always, when I'm in New York, I always check with him. We know each other since like 2001.
Wow. That's a long time. So wow, that's dope. Um, so yeah, it's crazy. I can share this with you and all the listeners on Slick Blast. So that's pretty much the same way you did it. I did it the same way. I reached out to L on Instagram in a positive way. Like I'm a fan, man. I was bumping, the Artifacts cassette going to high school. Like I told him straight up, like, I would like to make something with you. And he, no hesitation, super down to earth, humble, and good hearted guy, right? Like you mentioned, you've known him for a long time. And right away, it took about a couple weeks for us to, make the track, as we'll be releasing it hopefully in a couple weeks. And it's crazy, man. I look at it as a blessing, and I don't take it for granted because, like you said, Fat Philly, you've had a long relationship with L, and he's a good dude, and he's one of the
Great
hardest.
dude.
Yeah, he's one of the hardest working MCs in hip hop, and I've stressed that. I mean, I've been stressing that. So yeah,
Indeed.
shout out.
And
Yeah,
his merchandise line, where he doesn't sleep with
he
that,
just. Oh, you're not
and
lying. Yeah, you're right.
he's recording. Um, please tell a story about El and Sarma from Vukovar, please. Jacob from here, from Slavski Brod. So I brought El to a really small town in Croatia to do a festival there called Black. He was one of my ex colleagues, was
Okay.
putting together a festival, and he was representing Blackout, our name for that region. Um, so we brought El to perform, and I don't remember the sarma story. Sarma is a traditional Balkan dish where you have minced meat in a wrapped in cabbage. But I
Really?
remember, yeah, but I remember El. I'm sure he enjoyed it, but I remember El eating a fish paprikash, which is a hot fish stew, originally um, you know, originally made by Hungarians, but in that region of Croatia, that fish stew is very popular, and El was going through them plates like there's no tomorrow, you know, and then we spoke recently, and he reminded me uh he reminded me of a story where we were going back from Vukovar to Zagreb with and for some reason we had to take the train, and we took that 3.5, 4 hour train from, and he said the only thing
Ooh.
we had on that, there was no internet, so there's no looking in the phones, my brother, on the way, you know, this, you gotta speak or sleep or whatever, and then we,
Use your imagination, right?
so it was me and El and somebody else on that train, and the only thing we could get before our trip were hot beer. There was no fridge at that time on at the station. It was just hot beer from the store,
Wow.
and so he reminded me that we were drinking hot beer and just, you know, kicking ballistics on the way back to Zagreb. So yeah, L's been through the trenches with us here. You know, him, Ace, obviously, many times. You know, he came here with EMC. He came here with Ed OG. He came with Strick. You know, with few people. He would come back, and we've done a lot of tracks for Ace, including a couple of his solo albums, a few EMC albums, and pretty good relationship, family friend.
That's super dope, man. Master Ace,
Yeah.
he's a legend, obviously, from the Juice Crew. And it's funny, you know why I was laughing when you mentioned, yeah, when he was eating the meal that you were presenting, the fish meal. I was laughing because yeah, man, the guy can eat. He can eat. So we had him. He came to visit here in Chicago, and he was doing a pop up, as you mentioned, his merch. And he has a lot of friends out here in Chicago. I was able to spend time with him for a couple of days. I invited him over. My mom made Puerto Rican food for him. That's our heritage, Puerto Rican.
Uh,
And
Amazing.
and
Boricuas.
Boricuas, you already know. That's right. And so as he's finishing the plate, and it was a healthy plate, my brother. It was a healthy plate. So you get filled up. You get filled up, and then my mom goes. She's like, "Do you want another plate?" Because he was done in like 10 minutes. He goes, "Yeah, I'll take it." So that's why I was laughing when you mentioned the whole like he tore up the food like there was no tomorrow. I believe it. So now that I got to
Yeah,
witness
man.
it, that's hilarious. Super
Well,
cool.
but he keeps his weight in check. I'm sure he's in the gym,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and he always look healthy, and he just has a positive outlook on life, and I really respect. I never met Tame One, never ever in my life. It's crazy,
Oh,
and I
really?
know and I know L, like, like he's really a homie. But it's funny. I never ever seen Tame in my life, because at one certain period of time they were not together, but now they're working together again. I hear there's an album produced by Buckwild that's coming up. A whole Artifacts album produced by Buckwild. Um,
So it's
yeah,
called,
man.
yeah, so it's called, so I was fortunate enough to hear a preview
Oh,
of,
okay, dope.
yes. And
How is it?
I put it like,
Fire.
bro, it's going to take you back to the 90s. It's going to bring
Love
you
it.
back to that boom bap, 90s. And Buckwild did a great job in creating not even modern, like a modern twist, it's like a time machine. It just brings you back to the 90s boom bap. So he kept it, it's new, it's fresh, but it's still 90s, if that makes sense,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man.
My favorite Artifacts album is their second joint. That's them.
You know what's funny? Great Minds Think Alike. That's also my favorite album from them. Yeah.
I love the first one, but I think the second one, somehow, some way, I lived with. I kind of like, maybe the first one, uh, I overslept, maybe, for some reason, because the music wasn't as available as is today.
Right.
So if I didn't get my hands on it, I I wouldn't be able to listen to it. Obviously we had Yo MTV Raps at the time here through MTV, so we've seen a few videos. Uh, but you know, that's them. I remember I got it in London in '97. You know, I got the seat.
So I'm sorry, my brother. It says 25 seconds remaining because they're timing us now. I don't know why they're doing that.
Oh, okay. So you want to
Yeah.
come back? You want to come back, or you want to wrap it up?
No, we could come back. We could come back. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
save this video and then we could finish up after this. So I'm gonna save this video and then we'll
Okay.
talk a little more because I'm getting into this.
Sure.
Sounds good, my
No
brother.
doubt.
I'll see you in a
All
few.
right.
All right.
Bless.
Bless up.